Welcome to another episode of Creativity Nuggets. Today, I'll be diverting slightly from the more traditional methods of painting and getting into the digital side of art. We live in a digital world after all. As slim as a chance there is of anyone seeing my art, online, there'd be zero chance if I didn't upload it online in the first place. Still, I'm doing this as an amateur with no budget, so I'll be foregoing any kind of digital sketch pad. You know, the little plastic pencil and pad you draw with when you're online? No. Instead, I'll be going to the good old-fashioned computer mouse and using free drawing programs like MS Paint. There could be some instances where using a computer mouse to draw would be an important skill to develop. I'm not going to name them, mainly because I can't think of any. But I'm going to do this regardless. The reason I'm doing this is simple. I've recently completed an album I've been working on for some time now using another free program called ORG Maker, the Gimp brothers' impetus of, and I need some art for it. Now, I stand by my opinion that this is an excellent cover art, but I'm not exactly content with having just one. Perhaps to compensate for the quality of the music itself, or just to give the release a little more splendor, for whatever reason, I've decided to create a mosaic of 9 cover arts. The 2 already completed are the aforementioned Gimp brothers, and this, which is at least a couple years older. This means that for my parameters, I'll need to produce 7 cover arts to complete this collage. I want 2 to be traced from some drawings I've done before, seeing how well I'm able to import them over. It'll be fun. I'll do these in Gimp. I also want to have a healthy balance of paint and Gimp artworks, so for the remaining 5, I'll split them 3 paint, 1 Gimp. The remainder will be a wild card of sorts, meaning I'll just do whatever I feel like that day. I'll also be spreading these across 1 week, an artwork a day. That may seem daunting, but I feel these will all be fairly simple. Finally, this is the order I've chosen to make them. The setup for this one is a piece of cake, as if you're watching this in front of a computer, you're already set to go. We'll mainly be using the amazing freeware application Gimp, as I've already said, and the built-in paint program found in Microsoft's computers. Actually, those are exclusively the 2 that we'll be using. Just launch the program and you're ready to go. So please, join me on my journey as we start with remaking this. The Robotic Desperado, a doodle I made in tandem with a song and uploaded to YouTube over a year ago now. And let me tell you, that song will be returning an impetus of, this time slightly revamped. In order to trace this, I simply took the YouTube thumbnail, since the actual drawing is long gone now, put it on its own layer, dialed back the opacity, and traced on the layer above. Seems pretty simple to start, nothing fancy. The result will be when I turn visibility off on this and... Okay, obviously, we gotta get a bit more detail. Full disclosure, I've never actually used Gimp to draw anything, like a work of art, before this. I've only really imported images off the net and made stupid edits. So in this moment, I both know what I'm doing and don't know what I'm doing at the same time. The first thing I do is draw the little emblem, tasking myself with the simple job of drawing a circle, and it turns out to be very, very difficult. Please keep in mind that throughout the entirety of these videos I'm using a mouse to draw. Drawing with a mouse is like a hot streak. It's like you can only go so much before you make a little mistake. I want this to be perfect. Eventually I make it through. I get the emblem done, color it in. I get a feel for what all the tools I have can do in respect to actually painting, instead of just distorting everything incomprehensibly. Anyone can do this. It's basic trial and error stuff. The robot is also done with ease, coloring in first this time, with the doodle layer in front and just trace it in all the black I see. Next, I go over the image with the dodge and burn tool to add lighting and shading respectively. And this tool is a godsend. Like, instead of just picking the color that you need to shade it in, it just automatically goes black, white, lighten, darken, it's all good. And the best part is it only does what you want. Like, since you're working with layers, I mean, it can't shade in transparency what's not there. You know what I'm saying? Try it out for yourself. Okay, I've finished the robot, and it was kind of dull. Now what I'm really gonna do is add a background. Now for the background, I really surprised myself. I just did it in an instant. Like, I was in uncharted territory. I had to make a background. I wasn't tracing anything. This is the first time, okay? And I just do it. Like, speed painting. Most speed painters have to actually speed up their footage in order to do it. See, I speed paint in real time with this. Just look at it. So are the clouds in the sky. Just like that. It's art. Another thing I do is I play around with the different types of brushes. I mean, there's a sponge brush. There's like, you can put the Gimp mascot in there if you'd like. But my favorite one is definitely, I think it's called the Hatch pen. And for this one, it really looked like rays of heat on the background. I was really happy with it. Honestly, I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with it. And that's the robotic Desperado done. Didn't take too long. On day 2 now, my first time with paint was about as eye-opening as my first time with Gimp. I mean, still, it's not my first time, but I mean, I'm taking it seriously this time. The biggest challenge, though, was coming up with something to draw. Believe it or not, I was just sat there so long, just thinking about stuff. I had to come up with creativity on the spot. There is fun with coming up with ideas on the spot and just doing them, but it's a little nerve-wracking, though, when you're recording yourself and all you can do is just stare into the screen. There. Ha ha ha! Woo-hoo. It's a person's head. Now, I need to... I'll size this up. I'll make it a polygon-looking thing. Now, I can't go back on any of this. That's the hard part. I can't go back. This is going to be the final placement of this head, lest I mess up my background horribly. Another thing with paint that you got to look out for, besides that you're not working with layers, it makes it a whole lot more difficult, but also there's only a number of times you can actually undo, and it's still a lot, but you have to be wary. There's only so much you can do as, like, a test before you have to commit. Okay, that obviously ends. That's where his hand would end. That's what it's looking like. I don't know what this lump is here. Oh my gosh, I think I messed that up royally. For instance, when I noticed this hand wasn't all that I liked it to be, I couldn't undo it. I couldn't, like, erase part of the layer. I couldn't erase it without erasing part of the image. So I just added smoke to it. And the smoke, despite being a cover-up, really just adds to the image. I mean, why wouldn't there be smoke coming out of a crystal ball that a guy is grabbing onto? We're done. This is only the second day. I'm back in Gimp for day 3, importing and tracing this. A pot on a boardwalk. The main focus today was to try and stay away from my crutch of just doing everything with a big black outline. I don't really accomplish it for the bridge. Spoiler alert. Another thing that makes this one stand out in my mind was it was the longest one by far, over 2 hours for a single album cover. And a lot of it was just busy work, like coloring in the bridge, getting the notches on, like, the detail on the rope right for the bridge. The whole way through, it took up a huge chunk of time, and it was just busy work. Like, I thought being on the computer, you'd be able to minimize the amount of just going over stuff, like with, I don't know, some program, but I guess I'm not smart enough for that. Another crutch I wanted to avoid, and I knew this before starting the image, was I was going to nix the face on the pot, the little smiley face. And the thing about the face is that adding faces to things, to me, is just a really easy and sort of cheap way to create endearment. And after a while, yeah, it just starts to become disingenuous. At least that's what I think about it. I mean, if I don't like something, I'll put a face on it, and it'll probably make me like it better. That's just me. I tried to put something a little different on the pot, and you'll see. Maybe it'll be better, maybe it'll be worse, but it's up to you. These are some kanji I found. Japanese text is always great for aesthetics. These are the ones that mean peace. Oh. Depravity. No. Reign, be at peace. Not that one. Peaceful, calm, peace, easy, Thailand. This isn't cheating, right? I mean, I had to look it up. I don't actually know Japanese, believe it or not, but all the characters look pretty cool. I'm gonna do ease. Copy that. Paste it. This is just a reference. And I need, once again, a new layer. In hindsight, I think it would have been funnier if I put something like horse manure on it instead of peace, which is what I got, the character. If they have that character in Japanese, I don't know. It would have been funny. It would have looked the same. That's what I'm getting at. This brush is really good for that, apparently. Look at just scribbling. I'm just scribbling here. Wow. And once again, pulling it out in the background within a few seconds with the amazing Hatch Pen tool, providing an excellent look for the water below. It just completes everything. It just completes everything it does. And that puts a cap on day 3. On day 4, I wasn't really giving it my all at first. Like, I tried to do a little volcano, and taking a step back from what I created, I just need to say it looks horrible. So it was pretty disheartening going back to the drawing board. 20 minutes of footage wasted, and I got nothing. I didn't really have a concept. And then I just start going at it, and I eventually pull something out. If you want to capture the art of spontaneous creativity, I'd say, start experimenting with what you have. Take something simple and run with it. At least that's what I found. That's what this one is. So after I endlessly layered some speech bubbles on one another, it reminded me kind of some old driving games, like just how the road is. So I put a car in. And at this point, I was almost surprised in myself that I actually got this far and I was getting into it. And I was having fun drawing this car, like, from nothing. And if I can do it, you can do it too, surely. I think that's the best I'm gonna get. It's always baffled me why there's a pepper in Gimp. Just why? For this one, I specifically wanted to play around with custom paintbrushes in Gimp. How the item on your clipboard can actually be a brush or like a stamp you can play around with. But as amazing as the preset pepper is in Gimp, I wanted to do something of my own. Still giving off the same energy as the pepper, but not the pepper. And after a bit of experimenting, I decided on some grapes. Other than that, I'm just screwing around here. The first thing I did was I drew a little guy, and the concept with this, he just loves grapes. You see the grapes? Yeah, that's the focal point. I think this is it. This is the Pinnacle. Here, I retried doing the volcano I gave up on 2 days prior. And that's just what needs to be done. I honed my skills on pretty much all the different brushes. I tried them all out. The crayon, the marker, the oil, the watercolor paints. Wow, all those things. And of course the spray paint tool, painting in that lava. That's the most hardcore brush. I think the forest is the best part of the image, I'd say. I tried implementing vague but at the same time deliberate strokes. And you can tell what's in there, but hey, it's supposed to be far away. And at the end I was actually so proud of it, I enlarged it. Wow, pat myself on the back. That worked so well. With this one, simply put, I tasked myself with doing a volcano. I knew in my head that's what I was doing. I did the volcano. I drew it in paint. Here it is. It's finished. So, is it good? Do you like it? Finally, the wild card. Day 7, and I'm back in Gimp, and I got a pretty good idea of what I'm gonna do. Something different. I'm not just painting something from scratch. I'm actually taking something, a photo I took, and making something with it. Opening this up, and here it is. All the album covers I've done to this point. Looking back, I get to look back on all of them. And what's gonna go in here? Yeah, you guessed it. I want to make one of those infinite photos. Like it's a photo, but in the background of the photo, it's the same photo. And it does that for infinity. Dang it, I need to get this is way more complicated than I thought with this hand. Believe it or not, the biggest shocker out of this is I actually had to do math for this thing, as well as use the measurement tool on Gimp, which I've never ever used legitimately before this. And I didn't even know how it worked. And 107 out of 620 equals what out of 1500? Oh. I thought math never came up again in real life. Oops. I didn't know it when I started, but sure enough, I had to remember how to do algebra. It wasn't too hard, and of course I showed all my work. Here it is. It got me the exact pixel, give or take, because it gave me a half pixel to put my hand in order to make this infinite photo kind of thing. And keep in mind, this isn't your ordinary infinite photo. It's an overlapping infinite photo. You ever seen one of those? And then you zoom out. And that just about wraps up the digital painting album artworks mosaic project. And what a great end to this project, I must say. The whole mosaic, seeing it finished, all my art just bundled together like that, it makes me smile when I see it. And digital painting with all the tools and fail-safes it provides, like actually being able to turn back time and undo your actions. With enough practice and time, I think truly anyone can become a pro. Hey, I surprised myself with this stuff. Stuff like the pot, the lava rocks, the background on the robot. When I saw it, I couldn't believe I actually did it, me. They're not great or anything, but it just goes to show you'll never know what you can accomplish unless you actually try. And with that, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the Geets Brothers Impetus of coming shortly.